All right, welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul, joined by Robert Ziggy Ziegler. We're live just about 6 o'clock Eastern time here on the East Coast. But maybe we shouldn't be live is actually the takeaway I'm having right now. Ziggy and I hopped on. Brian Gutekunst has been extended by the Green Bay Packers, unsurprisingly. Matt LaFleur, as we know, was extended, but it's another announcement from the Packers that he's been extended. You may say, why?
No, you're about to say a bunch of stuff. I just have one question.
Yes.
Do the Green Bay Packers hate us?
Yeah.
On the day that our GM gets fired, and we as Vikings fans are going through this emotional roller coaster of instability in the organization, a power struggle, Green Bay just cruises along.
It is.
And they just have to announce in our face, oh yeah, our GM's getting a big extension.
I will say, because we knew this news, like this is not really breaking news or anything. There's a reason no one's going to tune into this. But Ziggy and I, we're grinders. We just want to get the video out there. We had some things to say, so we're going to talk about it. It was, yes, this was inevitable and not surprising. It's exactly correct, one of the comments that we just got. What is interesting about it is the timing, yes. Right after the Vikings fire Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, the Packers decide to announce the extension of their general manager, which is just, it's hysterical, and it's mocking a little bit. But it's not surprising, and you see the title of the video is They Must Win Now. The reason that is the title, because you might say, well, they just extended LaFleur. They just extended Gutekunst. Like, why is the pressure really on? And I'm going back to what Brian Gutekunst said last offseason about the sense of urgency needs to pick up for the Packers. In today's NFL, you get fired any offseason, right? Like, you get extended one offseason, the next offseason, you're on the hot seat.
It only costs money to fire coaches. There's no salary cap, and outside of Green Bay, no one cares about that.
And I obviously like the decision to keep LaFleur, the decision to keep Gutekunst, which is something most Packer fans seem to want to be in favor of. There were a few who, after the Bears loss, kind of lost their mind, and I get it, right? That kind of loss is an infuriating loss. It's one that would make you lose your mind. But the Packers do have a good thing going here. And they have a system in place where they've been a playoff team, right? Year after year. And how many times have we come on, Ziggy, and we've talked about the Vikings' failure to go to the playoff in back-to-back seasons? It's something that I've never seen in my life other than 2008 and 2009. And 08 really didn't even feel like it counted because they weren't a very competitive team. The Packers have that culture established. And when I say they must win now, what I mean is they need to truly take that quote-unquote sense of urgency that Brian Gutekunst talked about and turn that into more than a wild card appearance. They actually need to win a playoff game and advance to the divisional round, win the division, right? Ed Policy has shown now a belief in LaFleur and in Gutekunst to lead the franchise, one that I think is validated, even though there are some question marks. And now the time is now to win. Do you agree? Obviously, right?
So this is an interesting situation because there's no doubt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst are joined. And I think you're right that there's got to be pressure on them to win. But from my perspective, if I were the CEO, if I were Ed Policy and I were evaluating this, I would be much more confident keeping Brian Gutekunst around than Matt LaFleur. I've seen a lot of Packers fans saying, look, if you're adding Gutekunst, you're just saying the 7 seed is good enough. It's more of the same. But it seems to me, and I don't know if you agree with this, Paul, but I think Brian Gutekunst overall has done a very good job building a roster. Even though there have been a lot of young players, he's been aggressive when he's needed to. He handled the transition from Aaron Rodgers. He's got the quarterback of the future. And outside of injuries last year, I think this Packers roster is one of the most talented in the NFL. Now, you worry about corner, you worry about O-line, but they've been very, very good. And I think he's performed much better at his job than LaFleur has at his.
Yes, I would agree. The Packers roster, think about all the injuries they had this season, right? And the fact they were still relevant. They were still up 18 points at halftime in a playoff game. How many teams can you think of off the top of your head? Think about the Vikings. If the Vikings suffered the kind of injuries that the Packers had, where you have a little bit of offensive lineman banged up, you lose your top edge rusher, your receivers, right? You lost a handful of your receivers during the season. Number one tight end is out. Defensive tackles are out. I mean, the Packers' injuries mounted to the point where it sort of almost felt like the Lions a couple seasons ago. The Lions sort of had it again this year. And they were still relevant. That's a testament to the depth of the Green Bay Packers. And that's Brian Gutekunst in the drafting. We just mentioned today on the Kwesi episode the draft picks from the Vikings these past 4 years with Kwesi and how maybe you get one capable starter per draft. Packers are kind of the opposite of that. I know that there's a little bit of hit or miss in the first round under Brian Gutekunst, but generally speaking, when you're running through their drafts, you're typically seeing a handful of starters, and most notably, right in 2022, you had the class where you had Quay Walker, Wyatt, Christian Watson, Sean Ryan, Romeo Dobbs, Zach Tom, Kingsley Enagbare, Rasheed Walker. Like you're getting depth across the board. Tucker in 2023, Jaden Reed, Musgrave, Tucker Kraft, right? Wicks, Valentine, Van Ness. They're getting a lot of value in their draft classes recently. And frankly, you know, the biggest move that has been made, the two biggest moves, was taking Jordan Love when Aaron Rodgers was still winning MVPs, and then acting on the quote unquote sense of urgency and acquiring Micah Parsons, who was a one-man wrecking crew all year. So I think, yeah, I'm with you. I think Gutekunst has just done a great job. He's someone that you believe in running the franchise and developing this roster. And now it is a matter of LaFleur being able to coach him in the pivotal moments.
Like, I guess my view is if the Packers miss the playoffs next year, I mean, you need to see how it happens. I think it would make a lot of sense to strongly consider firing LaFleur and letting Gutekunst select the next head coach.
Well, that almost happened this year. Like, I don't think that actually
I don't think
almost
they would have
happened.
cleared house with Gutekunst if they decided to move on from LaFleur.
Sorry. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. You think they would have?
No, I'm agreeing with you. I think they would have kept Gutekunst around.
Oh, me too. Yeah, I don't think they were actually ever close to firing LaFleur.
But if they had, counterfactually.
Oh, yeah, but if they had, you would want to keep Gutekunst looking over this coaching search.
No, I mean, realistically, like the only thing people can complain about Brian Gutekunst about is he has failed to draft Hall of Famers. He's drafted all pros. He's added all pros in free agency. He got their quarterback, right? He's added depth all over the roster. Like, this is a really, really, I still think going to next year, this is one of the 2 or 3 most talented rosters in the NFL. So, I mean, I'm disappointed to see that he's going to be sticking around. But
No, this is
clearly the right move.
This isn't, as we've said off the top, and as you can see in the comments and from the number of people watching, this is not breaking crazy news by any means. But I do think the timing of it is pretty hysterical with the Vikings. But it is worth a reaction to me in the sense of it's worth reiterating right now that Green Bay's window, quote unquote, the window, is active. And when you have these opportunities, you need to be all in for them. And they made that official by going after Micah last season. But when you're just looking at I'm looking at next season. Let's see the Super Bowl props for next year, or the odds for next season. I believe Green Bay was in the top 10, no?
They were in more than the top 10. They were borderline top 5.
Yeah, Green Bay is plus 1,400 at 7.
The biggest sports books don't have it out yet, but yeah, Green Bay is coming in right at 8 there, just behind all the teams tied for 5th: Philadelphia, Detroit, Baltimore.
Yeah, they're tied. They're tied for 7th with the Detroit Lions right now. I'm seeing on DraftKings, unnamed sportsbook. So here's a good one, generic name. Only the true PFS sickos are in the chat right now. Only the sickos overall. Like, it's Friday night. We probably got to go do something. But this will be a quick show. But yeah, when you're 7th in odds to win the Super Bowl, the clock is running. And I'm not
better do more than go be the 7th seed and get bounced in the first round.
Yeah, it's the only way where something like that is acceptable is kind of if you have a year like this again where just everyone gets hurt. But even if that happens, I can't imagine
you can't
Packers
run this
fans
excuse twice.
No, you can't. And remember the way Packers fans reacted after. Well, look, if it ends the way the Bears game did, then that's one thing. You can't have repeatable games where you blow massive leads to your biggest rival, especially second time in the playoffs. But yeah, I like, even though they extended LaFleur, even though Gutekunst is extended, I do still think there's a lot of pressure on Green Bay to win football games right now, because the fan base, you can feel the anxiousness building amongst all Packers fans, even though there's a degree of success that's acceptable in Cleveland, and then there's a degree of success that's acceptable in Green Bay, right? There are different types of winning.
But do you think that, I mean, I think one of the features of the Packers front office is they're sort of uniquely insulated, immune. I don't think they care at all what fans think.
I don't think they do either, and that's one of the reasons they're one of the best run franchises in the NFL. Like Pittsburgh too, to a degree, right? If the ability to block out the noise is something that the Packers specialize in, and you've seen it for years, right? It's not just with Gutekunst. It's Ted Thompson. It's like you run through all the different guys who are running the show in Green Bay. Ed Policy's going to be like this. And it goes back to Favre and Rodgers, and now Rodgers and Love. Like, they don't really care what everyone says because they're the guys who know what they're talking about. They're the people who know football. Me and Ziggy can get on here and say all we want, and the fan base can be as loud as they want. But at the end of the day, these are the guys that know the right football decisions, typically. And Green Bay usually makes it. It takes a lot of balls to do what the Packers do, year in and year, or at least the quarterbacks especially. But they've been really good. But here they are, yes, 7th in Super Bowl odds. What do you think of that? Do you think they should be ahead of Chicago, the Packers, and the Lions,
should.
And the Lions too?
Look, the stuff with the Lions and the Packers, like all those teams around there, is going to fluctuate just as money comes in. The way to look at Super Bowl odds in like February is tiers, and I think those teams should be in the same tier. There's a plus 1,300 and plus 1,400 8 months before the season starts. Just doesn't matter.
This year's I'm just looking at just some comments on this year's free agency class. Hobbs did not work out very well, and I add Micah into that. I know he wasn't a free agent. I know it was a trade. I kind of add Micah into that free, quote unquote, free agency class that the Packers had. You probably shouldn't, but
no, I mean, well, let's look. Who cares about free agency? Offseason acquisitions. The Packers had 3: Micah Parsons, Aaron Banks, Nate Hobbs, that were really anything significant.
Yeah, and I'm willing to give him credit on, Micah worked out great, but the other two were shaky, and obviously Hobbs had some poor moments.
Hobbs and Aaron Banks are in real danger of getting cut this offseason.
Which means that it was not a successful move in the offseason beforehand. But now there's still work to be done, right? Like, we can sit here and we can say the Packers have a really deep roster. They're tied for 7th in Super Bowl odds, but they do have some pretty big holes in some places like cornerback. They need more edge rushing help. And if they don't do that, right, now that you have Jonathan Gannon coming in, he's going to have his work cut out for him. There are pieces on that defense especially that need to be reworked across the offensive line, right? There's a couple guys that you want to have step up. It feels like the Packers have been right there for a couple seasons now. I think this is the closest they've truly been with the roster they've had with this group of players. But there's certainly still some work to be done. And, right, that's where you trust Gutekunst, you trust LaFleur, and you trust Gannon to come in and make the changes. I'm expecting. I think right now, gun to my head, I pick the Packers to win the North in 2026.
Well, the thing is, I mean, you're talking about this roster being set up. This is going to be Brian Gutekunst's hardest offseason as the GM of the Packers, except when he decided to move on from Rodgers. The hardest by far in the Jordan Love era. Because a significant number of the most desirable free agents in free agency are Packers, and they can't keep all of them. Right, you have to decide, how do you feel about Rasheed Walker and Sean Ryan? How do you feel about Quay Walker? How do you feel about Romeo Doubs? Are you going to try and find a way to bring Malik Willis back? He's been so important for them. Like, there's a lot of difficult decisions they have to make, and the roster still needs to get better too. It's not like you're drowning in endless talent. No NFL team is, right? Every time you face an offseason, important players are leaving, you have tough choices. He needs to figure out who to keep, who to let go, if there's anyone they can bring in, how to replace players in the draft. And he's helped out
a lot by
the fact that, he's helped out a lot by the fact that there is no team that drafts for the future more than Green Bay. Their 1st and 2nd round picks are almost always spent on players they're projecting 2 or 3 years in advance. This makes fans very unhappy, but they're always drafting for need before the need arises.
But that's part of what we were saying, right? That's part of what we were saying about why the Packers are one of the more well-run franchises you'll see. That's not a popular move to draft guys that you're not anticipating making a big impact right away. Now, obviously, you hope those guys make a big impact, right? Like,
yeah, but like, they didn't even try to play Matthew Golden much this year.
Yeah. Now, had Matthew Golden come on the scene and been, like Jamar Chase-esque as a rookie, obviously that's what they wanted, were hoping for.
I don't think they were expecting Jamar
No,
Chase.
no. I know they weren't expecting. But what I'm saying is that still takes some guts because, we in Minnesota, right? Like we draft guys and Dallas Turner has a tough rookie season. People are like, what a waste. Like, can you believe, like, can you imagine if the Vikings had Matthew Golden? A lot of fans would probably, or most franchises would be like, this guy's a bust.
Jordan Addison's best season was his rookie season with the Vikings.
Yeah. And it's, no, it's absolutely a skill that they have in their ability to get ahead of things before it really is an issue and have the depth that they do have. So, yeah, did Ziggy have lice? Is that why he shaved his head?
Good grief, man.
Why did you actually? Did you just
I
want
used
a
the
haircut?
wrong size clippers on accident. I was looking for my 6 guard and I read an R as a 6. And like I noticed like 2 shaves in, but at that point it's too late. The die is cast.
So
So you have to just take it all off.
So yeah, where do you start, like right here, and then you go in like, oh shit.
Well, no, I did a couple rounds. I'm like, that seems really short, but I thought
Oh,
I
Ziggy.
selected a 6 and I look down and see that it's like a 3 guard. I'm like, oh crap.
Oh, Ziggy, genuine question. With the chaos amongst many teams, managerial and ownership wise, are you green with envy at the pack setup? Maybe not green, but rueful. A little bit. I mean, look, Ziggy straight from 8 Mile. Yeah, a little bit. I don't know if I'm jealous of the managerial structure. Like, I like Brian Gutekunst. I'm not sitting in bed at night going like, damn it, I wish we had Gutekunst.
The thought of being jealous of a managerial structure is just kind of funny.
It's
Like,
a
I
little
understand
sad.
what you're saying, but the thought that, oh, I'm like so upset that they've got this weird no one,r like, I don't care about the managerial structure of the org.
No, that's very far removed from what I'm jealous about with the Packers. Like, what am I jealous about? Quarterback development, number one. The QBs that you guys have had. That's the biggest thing. Like, I feel good about where the Vikings are at head coach. I like O'Connell, and they just made a horrible, horrible decision. The Vikings have been pretty solid in terms of decision making until they made the biggest mistake of the 21st century. And that has ripple effects, right? I'm jealous of your guys' consistent success. And I guess you can backtrack that to managerial structure and the way your organizations run. But I think most of it goes back to being able to identify and properly handle the quarterback situation the way Green Bay has for a long time. I mean, they've hit on 3 straight guys. That's like really hit. Obviously the jury's still out on if Love is going to ever get to the legendary standpoint. I hope not. But yeah, that's what I'm jealous of with the Packers. It's an interesting question though.
Someone asked, why don't we have an emergency podcast on Declan Doyle taking a job with the Ravens?
Okay, you know what?
Like we cover some NFC North stuff here. I get that. No, if you were the play caller for the Bears and designing the offense, maybe I'd feel differently. But what are you gonna do?
I guess fair enough. You can look back and say maybe the guys overreacted by running a live on this. Very well, maybe they did. Not quite the breaking news of Kwesi Adofo-Mensah being fired. Not quite the breaking news of a Micah Parsons trade, but look, 6:00 on Friday, everyone's about to have their plans. We thought maybe it would be nice to sit down and talk a little bit of football. Is that so wrong?
Look, it's Brian Gutekunst is a good executive, and it's a nice chance to step back and like reflect on where the Packers are, like you said. And I'll say this, like, I don't know, Paul. I guess here's the question: is with the roster the Packers have, is anything other than a Super Bowl acceptable?
I think a conference championship appearance is acceptable. I would also. They need to win the division, frankly. They need to win the division, get to the divisional round, and then I think that's where the conversation starts. If Green Bay, it cannot be a wild card flame out again, even if they do win the North and host a playoff game. What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing. We just got an unbelievable super chat from Richard Wirtz. As a Packers fan, I think this is the right move. And then he just goes and says, I'm confused why the Vikings didn't keep Darnold because they seem like a win now team. Cheers, everyone, and go North.
I can't. You're gonna have to let me know on the chat because everything's frozen for me. I don't know what happened. I'm glad the chat is still active and the show is still active.
We very much appreciate that, Richard, but it is just unbelievable. We're doing a Brian Gutekunst stays reactions. I don't know why you guys let Darnold walk. Did you know he's playing in the Super Bowl?
It's just some good old banter.
Oh, man.
It's just some good banter right there.
How Packers fans are going to have this over us for the rest of our lives?
They should. Sam Darnold's about to win the Super Bowl. It's. Oh my gosh, I can't get into it again. If you want to see a lot of the reaction, go check out the Kwesi Adolfo Mensa firing.
Go
reaction.
check out the reel of Paul crashing out.
Yeah, I did. I crashed out. I've crashed out multiple times.
Your sister, my ex-fiance, feared for her life. You were so upset.
All right, all right. Let me get one thing clear. No.
I feared for my life because Paul was so angry.
No. I am not a violent Viking. Everyone knows who watches.
That's why you have that Norse brick, because that's the only way to contain your rage.
I know that there's some, like, I remember listening to Rothenberg here in New York, and Rothenberg would be like, I'd get so upset I'd leave my family for like 3 days, or that might, I don't even know if that's hyperbole.
3 days?
Yeah, we just leave. And like, there are some super fans who are just out of control. I don't even think you can call me a super fan. Like, cards on the table. Super fan, that's like, those are people doing ridiculous things. I'm a big Vikings fan who acknowledges, I want to be careful I say this because like football does actually kind of pay the bills for me.
Well, no, just honest question, Paul, for you right now. Who's the third string nose tackle for the Minnesota Vikings?
I don't know. I don't know.
Like the super fans could tell you the third string nose tackle for the past 20 years.
Yes, that's not this show.
We're not obsessed.
That's not this show. But what we are is loyal to a core and emotional to a fault, probably. But not to a point of violence. Not to a point of violence.
No, Richard, we're just messing around. We know you're not trolling.
No, it's
just having some fun.
No, I think we're joking, Richard, and it's actually, it's a good perspective to have on the Darnold situation because they are in a win now mode, and Darnold would have kept them in the win now mode, and with JJ. It was weird. You're right. It was really weird passing up what basically was a guarantee of being good again or really good. I think with Darnold, you probably would have been really good again. And I would have been surprised if you weren't. You passed up really good for the hope of being great. That was just not close to a guarantee. And the more news that comes out, I guess it seems like Kwesi really pushed that McCarthy decision. I need to look into more of it.
I mean, it's the stuff that's coming out now. I think it's hard to trust because that struggle's over, and the people of the power are the people who want that story to be true. But like, I mean, here is the truth. Honestly, Sam Darnold had an unbelievable season in 2024. He had a very good season in 2025. But like, I think behind the veil of ignorance here, after that first season, I don't think you can be certain that Sam Darnold hit about the best outcome you could expect, and JJ McCarthy hit worse than the worst outcome you could reasonably expect. So like the combination of those two things and both those happening at the same time is unlikely. Just makes this look terrible.
Yeah, it's a joke. Hey, we got I'm back on here with my Wi-Fi. We got almost 200 people in here. There was a time and a place where that would have been
the biggest ever.
A monster show.
I mean, there was a time when we didn't have 200 subscribers.
Would you rather have Paul as a super victim? That's a great take.
That's what I was laughing at, if you were wondering.
Would you rather have Malik Willis or Mac Jones?
Good.
I think I'd rather Willis. I'd rather roll with Willis and see what you have.
Neither. Neither of those options I think are needle movers. Like, I don't want to go out and sign a quarterback that's going to take us to 8 or 9 wins again and we miss the playoffs. I'm totally uninterested in that.
Yeah.
I'll sign Daniel Jones or Aaron Rodgers because I think they can do better. I'll suck if we have to suck.
Oh, Jon Snow says you're a super fan. You do a podcast. That is a good point. We do run a podcast on.
But if you think about this podcast, I think this is an interesting way of looking at it. This is not a fan podcast By which I mean, like, we're not a podcast of people who are just fans and sit around talking. Like, you know what I'm talking about here, right?
I do. I know what you're talking about. I don't know
It's like it's a
if
different.
everyone
When
else
Nick
does.
Wright talks about the Kansas City Chiefs, he's a fan, but it's not like a Kansas City Chiefs fan podcast.
Yes, I like to think that we've extended beyond just being a typical fan reaction show. I think we're well enough connected. I think we talk with.
Well, some fan podcasts are bigger than us. It's just a difference of genre. Though I will
Yeah.
say, I just went in YouTube and Googled Packers fan podcast, and we were the first result.
No, that can't be true. We're the number one result on Packers fan podcast.
Yeah, our live right now. If you go on YouTube, folks, you can do this yourself. Go on YouTube and search Packers fan podcast. Packers extend Brian Gutekunst is the number one result.
I really hope that that's because of like your previous search history or something. See, this is the problem. I know Vikings fan. Like I was the other day, I was thinking, how do we continue? And I guess we've now just turned this into a Paul and Ziggy are talking on a Friday night, which is pretty funny.
No, Paul, I went in a private window, logged out. Packers fan podcast were the first
Oh,
result.
see, this is the problem when you're trying to build like a Viking audience, because I'm very grateful for the Packer audience that we have. It's awesome. I love talking with the Packers fans. And I have a newfound appreciation for the other NFC North teams, and I'm enjoying learning more about them, right? Like, that has been cool. Is this
You really get us feel for the fan bases and the people who do.
Yeah, no, you do.
Like
And there's a cool aspect to that. But in trying to grow to the Vikings, right, I'd love to have more Vikings fans, because we do a lot of Viking stuff. I mean, how many people do you know on a Friday afternoon drop what they're doing and do an hour on Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah being fired? Only, like, the Vikings podcasts do that. But then you step back and you think, like, what would a Viking fan not want to see? A show that talks positively about the other NFC North teams and really hits it off when they're most miserable. Like, although, I mean, I don't know. I would enjoy that.
Well,
That's
then
why
the Minnesota Vikings should try being good more often.
Yeah, maybe then the Vikings just aren't your team. That might be the case. I'm gonna vote no. Is this a Packers fan podcast? Which clearly is not going well for us. This is almost an NFC North podcast. As an old guy, I really enjoy it. I know we do a lot of Packers stuff. The goal of this show, I'm actually kind of enjoying what this episode is turning into.
Yeah, just it's only the super fans who are watching this at this point.
Yeah, so just ask your questions. I'm down to any questions you want. This could be kind of fun here. We do a lot of Packers stuff, and I think the goal of this channel is to be NFC North focused with a broader NFL umbrella, right? So that you can have a little more in depth, right? I'm not going to do a instant reaction to the Raiders like firing GMs or something like that. We'll do it for the Vikings. But the big stories like Belichick not getting the Hall of Fame, right? Things people are talking about, I still want to hit on that. And I think we do a decent job. It's tricky trying to find the right balance, though. Because sometimes Ziggy and I, you guys have no idea how many conversations Ziggy and I have about, like, all right, how do we want to title this one? We talked
every single day.
Yeah, we talked about this for 10 minutes. This NFC North topic was interesting, but it's not the main topic of the day. Is it worth putting? There's a lot of strategy that goes
Yesterday we
into
had like an hour and a half call just talking about, like, how do we frame the Bill Belichick video?
Vikings misery podcast equals Packers fan podcast. You might be right. Izzy Roberts. Honestly, guys, the reason as a Packers fan I watch and partake is down to the fairness that you displayed to the NFC as a whole. Vikes, Packers, Bears, and the others. LOL. Yeah, thank you, Izzy. That means a lot. That's kind of what we're going for. I don't think a lot of podcasts. So, like, I produce podcasts for anyone who doesn't know. Like, that's my job. I don't think a lot of shows really take the positive / fair route. And there's nothing wrong with that. People enjoy listening to hot takes and media. But that's what we found the most success for our show when we were just, okay, it's not really fun to me to yell and have negative takes on everyone. That's just, I don't like that. When we
very first started, and these videos aren't around much anymore, though there's a couple of them, we did more of a mix of that, and it made us unhappy.
You guys
like, it's not really fun or enjoyable to go on and be negative all the time.
Saying you're an NFC North show is straight up Jack erasure. Well, Jack, look, we'll get more Steelers stuff, hopefully. Jack is really bought in. Jack enjoys the NFC North now.
Also, I do want to give a shout out. Izzy's watching at 11:30 on a Friday, because that's pounds. So I'm assuming that Izzy is in the UK somewhere. That's
That's
impressive
dedication.
stuff. Tuning into a Brian Gutekunst video at 11:30.
Jon Snow, this should be an NFC North podcast. There's not a lot of love for the Bears with you guys, but I think there is hope. Yeah,
We're working on
I
the
don't
Bears
know,
stuff.
man. I think I was pretty gracious to the Bears this year. I was on the Caleb train like pretty early in the year, I thought.
But we could have done a better job hitting the Bears during the best Bears season since 2006.
Ryan's reaction with one of the best comments I've ever seen. As a Lions fan, I always consider this a Viking podcast. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. I think an NFC North podcast would be a good. That's the place we want to get this thing to. And you view it as an NFC North podcast where you can also get your fix on the biggest NFL stories. What else we got? Would you guys do a charity stream during the offseason? That is something we've talked about a lot. I don't know if it would be a charity stream, so to say, but I just don't know if we have the numbers to pull that right now, where it would really be effective. Maybe. I mean, maybe if you got enough people to talk about it.
But, a charity stream doesn't necessarily, you don't have to do gigantic numbers.
No, but that is something I really want to do. I would love to start doing more charitable stuff with the show as it's gotten bigger. That is a pretty important goal of ours. So I know you can do that with like YouTube Earns or something, and we definitely will be doing that soon. What are you laughing at?
Y'all respect the Lions enough. I watch because of Ziggy. Also, Jon Snow says charity for Ziggy's barber. I am Ziggy's barber, so the money you guys are donating is going straight to Ziggy's barber.
We're gonna need to have you stop cutting your own hair.
No,
I don't think it looks bad personally. Like I really don't. And there's not a lot of people who could pull it off like that. But yeah, this is a Jordan Love podcast. I'm gonna try and find Jordan Love at the Super Bowl. That's a goal of mine. He's got to be there. Says Go Pack. Love the show. Definitely a Packers podcast.
The odds are non-zero that Jordan Love is like someone on the Packers. I guarantee you has heard about the premise of this show.
You have to think someone on the Packers knows of the existence of the Paul Farrington show.
Because I'm not trying to brag here. We are one of the bigger YouTube Packers podcasts.
The lighting,
like, we've had videos go out and like people in Packers media and stuff have seen it. Like it's probably true.
Maybe. I mean, it can't.
Well, we
go ahead.
It's possible. That's all I'm saying. That someone on the Packers has been told about the Vikings fans that like basically run a Packers show.
Yeah, this has been a very tough football season. Put in Ziggy's contract. He can't cut his own hair. That's the only when Ziggy's contract is up. We have him to a massive extension, so we're gonna need.
I might start holding out.
Yeah, the holdout is real. All right. We said we keep it like 22, 30 minutes, so I think this is pretty good right here. Maybe an unnecessary stream in hindsight, but it was fun hanging out with everybody.
200.
Izzy Roberts says, Ziggy, we have matching hair. However, I am a former UK forces, so it's a habit for me. LOL. All right, Ziggy.
I'll take it.
You'll take that, right? We take the wins. We appreciate everybody. Again, I know that this was kind of an impromptu stream, not breaking news or anything. Still to have close to 200 people is really cool for us, so we appreciate it. It's fun just to hop on and I feel like we have a really fun community that we can all engage and talk some football with. Like I said before, it does mean a lot that everyone's very positive in the comment section. It's not just everyone spewing nonsense and hating on teams, even though we are a very easy team to make fun of. But
though I will say there is an unbelievable amount of Bears Packers conflict in our chat. It is just funny,
but that's understandable, accepted, and honestly, I encourage. Like, there needs to be banter. It can't just be hop on and like, oh, good luck to the Packers this weekend, and oh, I hope the Bears have a great time. The Bears, like, there's a point where you lose credibility if I'm not rooting for these teams. I actively root against the Packers and the Bears and the Lions. I think that's where everything's able to kind of keep its validity. That we're not rooting for these teams, but we can be fair about them. All right, you guys. I hope everyone has a great weekend. One question from Sosa Boy, who is a member. Paul, when you first started the channel, what was your general idea for the show? What did you want it to be? I don't think I actually ever had, and I don't know how many people are actively trying to like start NFL podcasts, but or sports podcasts in general. But what we did is Ziggy and I used to do a college radio show together of the same name, and basically we just wanted to keep that going because it was fun talking sports. There was no goal here. If you told us, we're going.
There was one goal. There's one goal we've always had. You said it since the beginning. When we stop having fun, we stop running the show.
Yeah. So there wasn't really any goal. And I think we've definitely found more success in having the niche audience of the NFC North. And honestly, you could break it down to even nicher of being Vikings fans who talk about the Packers a little bit more. And that's why we're trying to expand it from there. But the goal was just to have a sports NFL talk show. And we started that, but then you kind of find what works. And for us, what worked was when it was that doom and gloom of the Packers-Vikings relationship. And it was funny because that's just how we naturally are. And we started building on it from there. So it's been kind of cool to see the growth. But for all the people who want to start sports shows, and a lot of people, are capable of it. It's not like this is a hard thing to do. You just got to practice and you just got to get the videos out there. This actually is a great representation of why our show has had, not crazy success, but the success that it's had.
Any success at all.
Yeah. It's because Brian Gutekunst signs an extension with the Packers. Legitimately, no one in the world cares. And you hop on and do a quick video. Because when you do that 100 times a year, one of them is going to have, one of them will hit. And for us, it was Jordan Love having 2 nice drives against the Cincinnati Bengals in August of 2023. That's what it is. So,
yeah, and it took us 2.5, 3 years of just putting out videos no one was watching, and then thinking, how can we do this better? How can we do this better? That's what it is.
Yeah, you get better over time. So, all right, I hope everyone has a great Friday night. Let's, with that said, as much as I enjoy talking Brian Gutekunst and Packers executive vice presidents being extended on on Friday nights, I think it's best for everyone if we resume this talk maybe next Monday. Everyone go have a great weekend. Spend some time with your family and friends. Ziggy, I'm sure we'll have breaking news tomorrow that that we'll react to. So.
Myles Garrett to the Bears.
Yeah, or with this show it'll be like the Lions have decided to hire a new passing game coordinator. So, all right, I'm gonna end this.